Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
I'm Mike.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we're going to do a review of Utopia. Utopia plays 1 to 5 players. It says ages 14 and up and 90 to 120 minutes. That's probably an accurate play time. With Teach, maybe a little longer, depending. But so in Utopia, this was really cool. I was excited about this game. This is from Gravity Games. I was excited on the theme alone. So we are fans of time travel stuff, right? And in this one, it is a time travel worker placement game. You are sending your chrono ships to different locations to gather resources, trigger effects, stuff like that. And by doing so, and when you complete missions, you are changing the timeline, which is cool because then that is going to give you a new worker placement spot, which will then do different things and trigger effects. And it gives you, if you want, some really fun lore to read because you get to pick a this or that. They're all two-sided. But anyways, let's get into what you do. You start off the game. Everybody's going to draft chrononauts, time travelers, right? Crew for your ships. And they're going to go based on what icon they have. They might have like the drama or the political flag or the science explorer or like the war military people, right? And then so once you've got those, you're going to get those appropriate ships because it's really important because when you send a science ship to a science location, normally, if I just send a regular ship, I'm going to get just one science because I went there. But if I send a science ship, I'm going to get 2 because that's a like ship, right? So the same thing if I had sent the explorer ship to the explorer location. I get 2 explorer tokens. And those tokens you're going to use to recruit more crew. The science you're going to use to develop technologies. If you develop a technology, it's actually going to slide under the spot where you went. You're going to put your little drone there. And now that marks that you've done that. When you develop that technology, you immediately get to take that action, which will then give you, it's
one of those knowledges. Typically.
Usually it's a this or that, right? So then in future turns, no pun intended, if somebody takes an action in this time zone, the owner of this technology is going to reap this secondary benefit every time. As long as it's there.
Unless that person has a raider.
Yes.
To put technology down, and you don't think you get a single chip off of it because Spencer and I kept using it.
And then I spent it to complete a mission.
Probably the wisest thing you could do.
Yeah, right?
I was enjoying that tech.
So you were. Everybody was enjoying that tech but me. So the goal of the game is to complete 3 of these missions. The first one to complete 3 wins instantly. And the missions all have basically what their requirements are. It might be a specific number of these tokens. It could be getting rid of a technology and, or any combination. And then also it will require you to be in the location, the specific location. So maybe you have to be in
time zone where it occurs at.
Yes, because exactly right. Yes. Then you are going to go and look at the alternate history thing, which will then become a new worker placement space, and your worker will effectively move from that time location to the new one.
Time zone.
And so that's pretty cool. There are abilities which will allow you to share spaces. That's a spy ability, but normally if a worker is in a location, you can't go there. You can assassinate somebody. If you assassinate somebody, you pick the spot you want to go. I wanted to go there, so I kill this guy. He goes to limbo, boop, and I'm going to get one of my drones on this spot, and then I would get to do that ability as basically a free action. And then by killing somebody, I would also then gain the first player token. And that's how the first player marker moves around.
It's the only way it moves. So
it encourages you to assassinate people.
Yay.
Then when it's your turn, you're going to play all of your ships that you have available. So anybody you've got crew for, you're going to play your ships. Once you're done, next player goes. Once everybody is gone, then you're going to refresh all of the decks. So all the decks, the top card is just going to go to the bottom. Easy enough. Everybody's going to get their ships back. And then limbo, you can pay 1, so this is a cultural ship. So you could pay a cultural chip, 1, to get that ship back, or 2 of any other science to then, or, whatever, get your guy back. And then he goes back to your available thing. Now, you do pay basically the player that's in last place. So it starts off with fewest missions completed, then fewest crew.
Yep.
Then,
if it's still a tie,
it goes to the bank. And I mean,
that's kind of a nice catch-up mechanic. It's kind of
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and that is a kind of an oversimplified explanation of the rules of the game. There's a lot of minutia in here. There's some variable locations. So the location will actually have like a question mark and a circle. That means that when you place your guy there, you're going to get the tech or you're going to get the chip that is represented on the card that's on the top of that location. So if it is drama, political, science, exploration, or military, you're going to get one of those chips. Yeah. If it's not one of those and it's a tech, and a tech will either have the wheel or the question or the dialogue bubble, that it is automatically going to count as a science.
Yes.
And it counts as a science location because you spend science to develop those techs.
Yep.
Those techs, unless otherwise stated, always cost 2 science to develop.
Yeah, I was like the 2 biggest things that kind of like came up were the that spot does change what it is depending on what card it is showing. It changes what it is, and the other thing is that you place all of your workers during your turn. You don't like go 1 1 1 1 1 1 around the table. You place all of the available ships that you have, and the next person places all the available ships they have. So those are kind of the 2 biggest differences in this type of game.
Yeah, and I'll get into my thoughts about that when we get there. But anyways, that's basically how you play the game. There's a few things you'll look up here and there. There's tons of icons in this game.
Yes.
Now, there are player aids. They're pretty good once you kind of get used to navigating them. They are numbered like 1 through 7 or 8.
Yeah, there's a lot of player
So
aids.
You're going to go through. But honestly, you could cut to the chase and just look at the back of the rule book. It's got all the icons right there that you would need.
Better breakdown, yeah.
And it's just easier than like trying to sort through the cards and figure out like, which one am I looking for? You just kind of go down straight down the list and can see what you need. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate player aids.
Yes.
The player aids do have numbers at the bottom. So you can say, hey, look at the bottom of player aid number 2, for example.
And the 4th one is just characters, so really not that important.
Right. Yep. So this game, funded on GameFound, has been shipping out. I reached out to them because I thought this looked really cool. They did send us this copy of the game.
We like time travel.
It is I believe it is the deluxe version of the game. Also, I will just point out real quick.
This insert is fancy.
Oh, wow.
The insert's great.
Yeah.
I've had this box on its side. I've had this box sitting this way. There's spots for each of the poker chips. There's a spot for the cards right in here. That
With
fits
the
over
cap
there.
on tap. I love that. People are starting to do that now. Like,
that
you have
on
a
the
place for
top
cards to
down
go.
here.
Just make one of those plastic bits to go over the top of it, and it
Oh,
holds
yeah.
everything in place. And when you put it on side, it doesn't all come pouring out.
Right. And then there's a spot for all the ships. You just put them all in a row. Boop,
Yeah.
boop, 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 everything you need. And those
look.
are faction chips, which we didn't play
Right,
with the
so
faction.
Fifth player.
Great insert.
Fifth player. Yeah, it's a great looking insert.
And there's 5th player stuff in there. Insert's fantastic. They
And
knocked
there's-
that out of the park.
There's 5th player, there's solo, and there's 2-player cooperative?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is I'm intrigued to see how that would
To
work.
see how some of these other modes work. And there's another deck of these that go in with those other game modes. Okay, let's get into our opinions of the game. Spencer.
Yeah.
You won.
I did.
Why don't you?
Why is this game 10 for you?
Well, I also like time travel. I like history. The theme is pretty nice. I very much so I got to save the dinosaurs. And by doing that, I had to send Marie Antoinette back to the past to... no, actually, I had to send her to the future to get a laser to go back into the past and save the dinosaurs.
Makes sense.
But the
Perfect
theme
sense.
is all there.
Naturally.
I like how when you do this thing, I could have either saved the dinosaurs by using a laser, or I could let everything happen, but secretly bring dinosaurs back and selectively breed them until I make hyper-intelligent dinosaurs and have them rule the world with me. Yeah.
What could go wrong?
And they give you different options. So I really like that little flavor.
Tidbit.
And
Yeah.
it gives you the option of creating one of 2 different worker placement
placements. Yeah.
spots to use in upcoming turns, unless it's the one to win the game.
Sure.
Yes. The art, I really like the art on it.
Yep.
Yeah, the style. I mean, this is the deluxe version, so I'm not going to go on any of the parts that might be deluxe. But
I mean, you
pretty
could talk
certain that
about
these are all the things.
You could talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, just keep in mind that I believe this is the deluxe version of the Kickstarter.
Yeah. So your drones might not quite look like this, but these are nice.
Oh yes, they're very nice.
The chips are super nice.
It was a little bit slow, a little bit weird at first. Then when it clicked, it started to pick up. Mike was really well. I don't know if not sure you were behind. You were taking your time on things, and all of a sudden you almost got 2 in one turn 2 of these.
You can
butterfly
only
cards.
get
do
one
in
in a turn.
Oh,
But yes.
well, he basically filled the requirements
For two of them.
for two of them
Yes.
in one turn.
He did get tons of resources.
Yeah, and so you can really pick up the speed real fast. You got to watch your opponent to see what they're doing. So that assassinate thing can become very important.
Yes.
I'm actually concerned it might be too powerful because when you kill someone, especially if you have fewer players, you kill someone with it, you take their ability. They can't assassinate you. No one can assassinate you if you're on that spot.
Right.
And so then you also get to go first, and then you get to take all the other stuff. So it's a big
But if
bonus.
you go first, you can't. You go to
Then
the
you're,
assassin
then
spot,
you're-
not
then
gonna
you're
make
vulnerable to assassination.
That's the
Exactly.
balance.
That's the balance.
That's the balance. I already was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the balance. But it depends on how cutthroat your opponent's going to be.
I mean, play to win.
Absolutely. There's plenty of nice little combos and things, variety. I like the abilities that you can do. I was the only one who got a colonist, so I'm like seeding the board with stuff, and no one else can take them because no one else had a colonist that would take them back off. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mike.
Yeah, I enjoyed trying to create the synergies in the people that I was kind of recruiting to my board here. Because essentially you've got up to 5 workers here, and they can all give you totally different effects. And trying to get those to synergize with each other or synergize with the text that you've discovered and you have your drones out. I thought that was a satisfying kind of game loop, is to try to get these guys to work off of each other. And that's why I a lot of times had a lot of resources. I kept looking for things that was going to work with other workers that I had. And so I really enjoyed that. And yeah, to Bob's point, I mean, if you know the Splendor chips,
Yep.
Oh, these are
this
nice
is
chips.
exactly like the Splendor chips. They're very heavy, very clunky. These are very satisfying to play with, so excellent job on those. I also do really like all the art on the cards. I actually found myself kind of paying attention to the art on every single card. And there's not a lot of games where... this is a personal preference of mine. There's not a lot of games where if we have to stop the whole game and then read something, I will zone out sometimes. I'm like, okay, let's get back to the game. This is dumb. But reading these alternate versions of history, and each version will give you a totally different new version of an action for the rest of the game, made me vested in the stories in these cards. I wasn't just reading them for flavor. I was reading them, like one of them I chose just because I was going to be putting people on Mars, but it also gave me an ability for the rest of the game. So I was vested in the story it was telling when these flavor text cards came out, and I actually really enjoyed that part.
And
quite
it's
a
like
bit.
a paragraph or two, so it's not
Yeah.
it's not
It's
terrible.
not long.
Just sitting there waiting.
But they're
It's
pretty
not
but they're
long.
also entertaining.
I was
Yes.
kind of
Kinda
hoping
funny.
they had like a separate card or something that'll give you a little flavor text for each of the characters.
Oh, sure,
But
sure.
They didn't have that.
Called a history book.
I also sometimes
Some of it's a history book, not quite this end of it.
there's also times in some games where it's like, okay, we're 10 minutes in and there's a new icon, so let's read what that does. And then we're 10 minutes in and there's a new icon and let's see what that does. But the new icons that pop up in this game are so interesting and so much more powerful than the base icons that the game starts with. You're still interested to see what new abilities come out. It's like that exploration thing that always gets me in games where it's like, ooh, what's that gonna be? I
Yeah.
have no idea. We're gonna randomly draw a new tile and see what resources I have access to. We're gonna draw a card and I got 2 totally different options of sweet new technologies I can use, and I found those to be very satisfying. So overall, I enjoyed playing it for sure, and I think the flavor text that they used to tie this into the time travel theme, I think worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. Bobby.
Yeah. I do agree that I did enjoy which way do you want to go with your alternate history. I didn't really feel time traveling. Like, it's like, Anachrony is my number 1 game. And I really feel the time travel. You're changing areas.
I mean,
you're
you
requesting
literally are
resources.
borrowing resources from the future.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
pretty
and
cool.
I
It's hard to
really
beat that.
I really like how that is done. Now that being said, this is still a fun worker placement game. Cool, with the flavor text on the alternate histories and everything that goes along with that. fantastic. Like we were saying, the chips are great quality. All the pieces are really nice. I love how they use a lot of like actual people. Like, oh, I have Neil Armstrong and Buddha and Confucius, but then you also have Ripley. Earlier, I had the mechanic chick from The Expanse, which is a cool sci-fi
David Bowie
show.
Starman.
Starman.
Don't step on my characters, man. I'll talk about my characters when I get there.
But no, those are super
Yeah,
cool.
I'm Charlie's
I like
Angels
they,
over
They
here.
put those characters in there. And I had a lot of fun. I didn't win. So at the beginning, I was trying to be somewhat nice and not use the assassinate. I was going last. I had very few options on where I wanted to put
I
my
told
ships
you,
out by time.
you want to go first.
You
do the
ended up
assassinate.
assassinating
Don't worry
those
about
people.
trying to be nice. Don't worry about trying to be nice. Use the
It's not a big deal,
assassinate
yeah.
spots. You know,
It's
and
not that crippling.
not a big
It's not. It's really not. Especially because there's medic cards out there that let you take one guy back for free anyway.
Yeah, because the first
And
time you
so-
assassinated, we're like, well, just hit one of Mike's guys because he can get it back for free.
Right.
Totally
So-
did that.
Don't be
Mike didn't
afraid
even
to
notice.
assassinate.
Then I later assassinated 2 people in the same turn. So
Sure.
You did.
But I was like, just I wouldn't worry about trying to be nice and not
Yeah,
assassinate.
it's-
Use the space. It's fine.
It's
You
there for a
it's there,
reason.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason, and that is the only way the first player marker is going to work. Which I didn't quite realize. I mean, yes, they said it like when we watched the little tutorial, but like I kind of glazed over that fact. When we got done with the turn, I was like, "So pass the marker," and you're like, "No, you have to assassinate." I was like, "I'm gonna okay," but then we started assassinating,
have
and it
to.
ended up not being that bad.
Yeah.
And it's not as crippling. Now, maybe what Spencer was saying, if somebody all they want to do is sit there and assassinate all of like one person's like people. Okay, that might be being a jerk, and just don't play with Spencer.
new group.
Yeah.
I only assassinated one person.
But again, they're spending
don't you
all
have
their
somewhere to
actions
be?
just to assassinate, and they're
Sure,
not.
well, you do get the resource. When you
Yeah,
assassinate
but-
somebody, you still get something for doing that.
Yeah,
too.
but like one resource is not always enough.
That is true.
If
But you're
it's the
also
one
forcing
resource
them to
you
pay
need.
a
Well,
resource.
yeah, but
to
you're
get
also
their person
forcing
back
them
if they don't have a
and-
medic.
Yeah.
But anyways, that all being said, I did enjoy it. I love how these butterfly effects are all like just like a lot of them are events. Win the second Cold War or defeat the Horse Lords from the Game of Thrones. So it's like that good mixture of like the pop culture stuff plus the actual history is really fun for me. So I say the player aids, while they're small and the back of the book is great. We love having that reference on the back. That's super helpful. But the player aids are always nice and appreciated.
To your point, I don't think mechanically it feels like time travel.
Right.
But it's those.
It's the flavor.
Let me
Yes,
tell you why
those
this.
help.
Yeah,
When
a
you're
lot.
done, I'll tell you why this game feels like time travel to me.
Okay, because you read a card that said change history?
No, no. One of my favorite time travel movies.
Okay.
Underrated.
Sure.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh.
What do they do in
that
Bill and Ted?
underrated?
They go through history
Yes.
and gather up
Collecting
figures, and they're part of their crew, and they're doing stuff.
Okay, well, yeah,
I literally got. Well, this is Starman. This is David Bowie from the future.
Sure.
Did
But-
you just come up with an expansion for this game?
Yeah, I know, right? There's Sun Tzu. I mean, there's Madame Curie you had, right?
Yeah,
I had
mean,
Madame Curie.
There's like all of these characters from
Beef
history.
oven.
Yeah, beef oven. There's all of these, now they create some, right?
So Kate Johnson.
They do some awesome ones, like pulling from like science fiction and popular culture
Yeah.
to create the futuristic ones, but like all the historical ones. I mean, like legit.
Alexander the Great.
It's really fun. Like I literally went after Ellen Ripley right away because it's like, well, it's Eleanor
Ripley.
Ripley.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
like,
sure.
no, it's Ripley.
Yeah.
Like I want it. Boom, got it. And then the first one that I paid for was Bowie, Starman. But again, like I just thought they were cool. I love the artwork in this game. So yes, mechanically is the time travel. They do it in a way where the time travel still for me was fulfilling. It was fun, and I really enjoyed that aspect. Now that's just like my surface level enjoyment of this game. I thought the worker placement in this game was really cool. I understand. There was some discussion about, and they're not wrong, with one player is placing all of their ships, it creates downtime for the other players. That happens. Spaces are going to get occupied, cards are going to move, so it's kind of hard to plan your
Pre-plan,
turn.
right.
So you do have to, there is going to be some downtime. That's my negative on this game. But to set up your combos the right way, all of us, when we had especially a couple turns into the game, we got multiple ships, at least 3.
Right.
You're setting up combos, and by that third ship, sometimes that second ship, you're placing boom, boom, boom. Now I'm doing this. Now I do this. Now I get another ship. Now I get another action. Like all of those combos, to me, was worth it.
Yeah.
It's because if you don't have it where you can place all your workers like that, you don't get those combos. I find those combos very fulfilling. For me, the trade-off is there. it may not be for everybody, and I'm fine with that. It's sort of one of those like you're either cool with it or you're not, and go forward with that knowledge in your brain, because that can be a legit complaint for people. But for me, like I had such a good time playing this, and even during other people's turns, I'm reading cards, I'm checking out stuff, I'm trying to look up iconography. There's a ton of iconography. There's some minutia in the rules. I think for us, it's just sometimes it's the wording in the rule book. While the rule book was not bad, I feel like it was laid out pretty cleanly, and the order is all pretty good. Some of the wording was a little like, well, it didn't say this. Does it mean that? And
like
I think
slightly ambiguous.
Yeah, but I don't. But again, I feel like
not detrimental though.
Not detrimental, and I feel like after a minute of conversation, we're like, no, that's what it means, and we all felt good about how it was going forward. Do not be intimidated by the assassination mechanic, like Bob was saying. I think everybody initially is like, well, I don't want to piss anybody off or be a jerk.
It's a learning game. I can start to be a jerk and just kill everybody's people, but no, it's fine.
But no, it's a legit tactic. Yeah. I don't feel like it's crippling, and I feel like it's probably more detrimental to one person if they spend all their actions just taking out one other person's ship. I don't really know that benefits
I'll have to try
them enough to be like a super viable action. Unless that person is literally like gonna win on their next turn.
Right, so you gotta like slow them down a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, you make them use some of those chips up so they can't turn them in.
But even then, you are not moving yourself forward and winning that much. You might be able to a little bit, depending on how close you are.
But also, if you have someone who's using up all of their resources right away, and then your turn comes by, you can assassinate them. They're not going to be able to get their people out of limbo.
Ships back. Yeah, if they don't have
and so
chips.
Now they have
ships and chips.
fewer actions they can take the next turn.
I was making sure that I had a decent mix of chips so that I could get stuff back. I'm building towards recruiting people that I need, but also kind of trying to pad my stuff so I could bring them back.
Is that how you ended the game?
Yeah.
That's a lot of chips.
Yeah. I was very close. I
think you were supposed to
stuff.
turn those in for missions, but that's why you only finished one of them.
Oh, that's probably yeah. You're supposed to turn those in, Tim, once you have them.
Listen, I had a great time playing this game.
The amazing thing is I only had 3 workers, and I still ended
I
up
know, right?
completing
Tim
almost 3 of them.
His own play conditions.
Listen, I won because I had the most fun.
Yeah. It's true.
Winning at
Although
life.
if I check my BG stats,
well, you can't because BGG
nope.
is down right now.
That's right.
As we're filming this, Board Game Geek is down for maintenance. Anyways, I had a really good time playing this game. I think the components are absolutely top notch. Now again, deluxe edition. I'm not for sure what all the differences are, but the card art is not going to change.
Yeah.
These player boards are great. That's not going to change.
Nope.
It
might be the minis. It might be the chips. Not sure.
But pretty certain the chips.
But I really enjoyed this. I had a great time playing this. It did run, and sometimes I usually kind of like lean towards not the longer runtime on games, but when it grabs me, the theme's interesting, the gameplay is fun, and I can still, because I felt like also I never felt like oh, I'm so far behind I'm never going to recover. I always felt like I was able to do
I felt
stuff.
that in like turn 2. But I got over it quick.
Yeah,
you got over it quick, and you still got stuff done.
Yeah, once I started assassinating and then going first and getting my choice at some options, then it was fine.
Yeah, for the first 3 turns, every time it came this way, Mike took everything I was trying to do, and I was like, and yet I still managed to pull out a win. So yeah, you can change
Mike
your strategy.
was really close to winning too.
You would have won next turn.
And,
you would have won next turn.
So, anyways, I found this very fun, very satisfying. I had a great time with it, and I love just about everything with this game and what it does.
The cards are linen and finish for those that care about that.
Yeah, they look good.
They look good.
They feel good.
Mm-hmm. And the tarot, I love tarot cards.
There's one little more thing I want to mention. There are 13 different abilities that your characters can have, and some of them will do something different when you're on these. So that's 26 different abilities. Plus, I discovered the scientist isn't one of those abilities, so there might be one for each of those. That's a lot of stuff to be looking up, and that's a lot of stuff, and it really did slow the game down somewhat because we're looking things up and trying to figure it out.
If you look at the back of the rule book, it goes a lot faster than trying to look through.
I want to say this one is better than these because you can actually it's easy to find.
Yeah,
easier to see
things
those,
like that.
They're cluttered because you've got all the explanations in there. They're there, but they take a minute to find and look and research.
And I think after maybe 2 games, you won't need to look at them very much anymore.
Yeah,
you'll figure out what they do.
Bob's got a PhD in iconography, right?
I do. Yeah.
So, anybody else have any comments about the game before we give a rating?
I think so.
All right, Bob.
That's me.
How do we rate games at the Board Game Rundown?
That's a great question, Tim. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to each give this a rating between 1 and 10. We do use 0.5s for a little variance. We're going to take that score, we're going to average them all together, and that'll be the one rating that the Board Game Rundown gives it that we put on BGG and Discord and any other place you might find our scores.
Awesome. Spencer,
Yes.
what's your number?
I am going to just give this one an 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike.
Should probably add that up.
Yeah, should.
I'll give it a 7.5.
All right.
It's one I definitely think you should try out if you haven't. I would definitely play it again. So 7.5
Oh, yeah,
for me.
definitely click it. And I got to say the dinosaurs.
Bobby.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Mike's right. I think it's a 7.5. I would definitely play it again. I would perhaps even reach to grab it off the shelf to play. Say, hey, I want to try this out again. I think 7.5 is a great place for it.
I think you all are wrong. This game's a 9 for me. I would love this game. If I'm going to go for like a longer worker placement style game and I can still feel entertained and really kind of engaged the whole time, this game just checks a lot of those boxes. It's a fun time travel game. Don't get me wrong about Anachrony. It's not as crunchy. It's not nearly as crunchy.
Not nearly as crunchy.
It's more accessible. The longer wait time is going to push it more out of that into that medium to heavy without getting to heavy.
Right.
But I still feel like this feels like
The
medium.
rules overhead is medium.
I feel
The
like
gameplay pushes it to heavy.
yeah. There's
I think it's
combos and
medium.
things. There's a lot of icons and stuff, so that pushes it over into the crunchier side. But I don't feel like it's overly complicated. I feel like it's very straightforward, and it's not like some of the heavier games where it's like, well, I take this action and then now there's 36 other things that proc off of that. Like this isn't what happens.
Okay,
you
nuclear.
just
Yeah.
you do the thing, you get the thing.
Yeah. So if we take all of our scores and we average them together, beep, boop, 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 it's an 8.
Today,
Hey, I was right.
That's solid.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on.
Change it. Go back in time and change your.
Did I say 7.5? I'm at 7.75, so that's going to take...
Let's change it.
Change it.
No, I had a great time with this. I really liked it. Obviously, I think we all had a good time.
Yeah, I definitely
think
play again.
Yeah.
There's just different things that appealed to us in different ways.
Yep.
But if you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, doing all those things. Mike and I do a live stream every Wednesday where we cover random topics. We have guests on, and then we play silly games at the end.
Yep.
We do our business in the front, and then we party in the back.
That's right. Sometimes you get hat mic, sometimes you get couch mic. You never know what kind of
true.
mic you're going to get.
Yeah. Sometimes a puppy shows up.
Sometimes puppy shows up.
Sometimes Bob shows up.
Sometimes.
And then Bob shows up, there might be a puppy again.
That's true.
We've doubled the puppies.
That's right. We have
More
double
puppies!
More
Two puppies for the price of one.
We also do have a Patreon. If you'd like to support the show financially, if that's your bag, you want to help us keep creating these kind of videos, that's awesome.
And getting puppies.
And seeing puppies. But if you can't or don't want to, not your thing, that's totally fine. We appreciate the comment, the like, do that. Let us know what your favorite time travel game is. Comment below.
I love time travel.
Have you heard of Utopia? Check it out. I think it's really good, obviously. Other than that, you guys got anything else before we sign off?
No.
I think it's good if we say puppies again.
Puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah.
For the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Madame Tussauds.
Amelia Earhart.
Puppies. We'll see you next time.
Boiler up.
Did I mention I got to say the dinosaurs?